Thomas and Friends is made possible in part by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Thomas and Friends, making tracks to great destinations.
Dear Christopher, here is your friend Thomas the Tank Engine. He wanted to come out of his station yard and see the world. These stories tell you how he did it. I hope you will like them because you helped me to make them. Your loving Daddy.
Thomas is a blue tank engine that needs no introduction. He is known as #1 on the island of Sodor. You can often find him shunting or riding along his branch line with his two iconic coaches, Annie and Clarabelle. The other engines love Thomas, and he has the reputation of being a really useful engine. After a hard day's work, Sir Topham Hatt came to see him at Farquhar's sheds one evening. "Tomorrow," he began, "I want you to go to Brendam Docks. You'll be teaching a new engine about shunting and pulling coaches." "Yes, sir," said Thomas tiredly. "That's a good engine," smiled the Fat Controller. "You're in for quite the surprise." With that, he walked away, leaving Thomas to ponder as to what he meant. He was so excited that he forgot he was even tired. The next morning, Thomas went straight to Brendam Docks, finding the surprise that Sir Topham hadn't mentioned. There, standing on the siding, was a blue engine with the same number as his. He also had 6 small wheels, a short stumpy funnel, a short stumpy boiler, and a short stumpy dome. Thomas was looking at an engine that looked just like him. "Bust my boiler!" cried Thomas. The yard manager came in with a laugh. "Relax, Thomas. It's a replica engine. He's going to be pulling passengers at the Nene Valley Railway in Peterborough." Thomas looked on in wonder. Just a replica? Does he talk? The engine that blew his whistle, scaring Thomas. "Of course I could talk," the engine laughed. "Of course, I'm not really supposed to let the tourists know. It's a pleasure to meet the real deal. I was told you'd be teaching me, and I'm excited to learn." But Thomas was hesitant to teach. The day went on, and Thomas would teach his replica how to shunt around Farquhar Station, showing him the do's and don'ts. All the while, he didn't act too friendly. When it was time for a rest, Thomas was sitting in a siding away from the replica, eyeing him with contempt. It was then that Toby pulled alongside. "Hello, Thomas," smiled Toby. "Am I seeing double?" Thomas explained everything to Toby. "I don't like it. Why are they trying to replace an authentic experience of the original with a fake? It's not right." Toby just chuckled. "Don't think of it like that, Thomas. You should be flattered. None of us could say that a replica was made in our exact image. Besides that, consider how he feels. Don't you think he might just want to be a useful engine like you? He's lucky to have an engine like you to teach him." Toby then puffed away, leaving Thomas with much to think about. Soon, it was time to take Annie and Clarabelle along the branch line. Thomas was meant to be in front of the replica, pulling him and the coaches. But thanks to Toby, he had a different idea. "Please, sir," pleaded Thomas to the station master, "do you think you could give the other Thomas a shot at pulling the train? I could teach him what to do on the journey." "I don't see why not," smiled the station master. The arrangements were set, and the replica beamed to have a chance at pulling a passenger train. He coupled onto Annie, while Thomas would be behind the coaches. "Steady now," said Thomas. "Be patient and wait for the guard's whistle." The replica listened and waited for the guard to blow his whistle. When the guard did, he slowly puffed out the station with Thomas, Annie, and Clarabelle in tow. The two tank engines made their way down the line. Thomas instructed the replica to not go too fast. He listened well and stayed on time. "He's pulling us well! He's pulling us well!" sang the coaches. Thomas couldn't disagree and found himself quite impressed. "You're doing swell!" called Thomas. "You're doing swell!" Eventually, the day came when the replica would leave the island to Peterborough. The engines were there to give their goodbyes, including Thomas, Annie, and Clarabelle. The replica felt bittersweet as he looked at Thomas. "It was great to be here. I'll miss you, and I won't ever be as good as you." "Nonsense," said Thomas. "You already are. You're officially Peterborough's #1 engine." The replica smiled warmly as he then set off towards the line. All the engines gave him their cheers. But there was no cheer louder than the one from Sodor's #1 engine, Thomas.
Hey, Thomas, are you awake?
It's 7 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm still tired.
Do you want to go to the station?
At 7 o'clock in the morning? No, thank you.
Do you want to go to the seaside?
At 7 o'clock in the morning? No, thank you!
Alright, I just want to know if you want to go anywhere.
Well, I'm still tired, Percy.
Do you mind? It's 7 o'clock in the morning.
We know!
Well, what's the problem?
I just don't want to go out on my own.
Well, that's a silly excuse, Percy. Last time you practically begged us to come out with you.
I just want to go outside.
Well, You should leave your outdoor activities till morning then.
Listen, I know it's none of my business, but I think I speak the right for everyone here when I say, go back to sleep.
All right!
All right!
Thomas is puffing through the countryside. He is on his way to Knapford Yard. But Thomas stops puffing. He has run out of coal. Now what is Thomas going to do? Here comes Edward. I wonder if he can help. Edward asks his fireman to give Thomas some of his coal. Edward is sharing his coal with Thomas. Now they both have some coal. And Thomas can puff all the way to Knapford Yard. Edward is chuffing cheerfully through the countryside. But what's this? Edward has to stop. He has run out of water. But here comes Henry. Henry has lots of water. Henry shares his water with Edward. Now they both have some water. And Edward can finish his journey. Henry is puffing into the yard. He is ready to collect a special delivery. But there are too many freight cars for Henry to pull. Thomas and Edward only have a few freight cars. Henry shares his freight cars with Thomas and Edward. Thomas, Edward, and Henry all share. It makes them happy and gets the job done.
Thomas was sitting at the station, feeling depressed. He had to stop pulling freight cars because the constable labeled him as a lawbreaker. "It's not fair," said Thomas sadly. "I can't go around wearing cow catchers. I've never had an accident once. Why should I wear something because I'm an uptight constable?" Annie and Clarabelle tried to comfort him as best as they could. It was then they heard the sound of a bell. This had caught their attention, as they then see Toby, the new tram engine, puffing next to Thomas with a line of freight cars. "Hello, my name is Toby. You must be Thomas." Thomas noticed the cow catchers and the side plates and began to feel defensive. "I am, and this is my line. Don't go thinking you can run it just because of that uptight constable." Toby only chuckled. "I'm not here to replace you," he replied calmly. "I'm here just to keep the constable happy." "Humph!" erupted Thomas, as the whistle blew and he chuffed away. Toby didn't mind. He knew Thomas just felt defensive about his branch line. As time went on, Toby kept running the line smoothly, pulling the trucks better than Thomas ever did, which only made Thomas get more and more jealous. The trucks behaved well, and Toby always made his stops right on time. One day, Toby was pulling another line of freight cars. He was humming happily as he began to approach their level crossing. The constable was asleep when Toby rang his bell. The constable awoke with a fright as Toby passed by. "Oi, you!" he called out. But Toby hadn't heard and kept chuffing away. Thomas was waiting at the station when Toby had arrived. They were fixing to leave when shortly after there was the sound of another bell. It was the constable, riding on his bike and arriving at the station. He went to Toby, red in the face. You can't go disturbing the peace with all that racket. I was having a nice sleep until you scared me." Before Toby could respond, another voice spoke up. "Disturbing the peace?" beckoned the familiar voice. Approaching the officer then was none other than Sir Topham Hatt. "I'm not the greatest with rules, officer," he began. "But I know one thing for certain. Engines are to blow their whistle, or in this case, ring their bell, whenever they approach any level crossings. I assure you that these engines make sure they run the line safely. Next time I catch you making such ridiculous claims, I will make sure to notify your proper higher-ups. Do I make myself clear?" The constable nodded and quickly got out of sight. Thomas began to laugh. "That was great," replied Thomas proudly. "I never thought I'd see the day that stuck-up would get what's coming to him. I'm sorry for being so rude to you." Toby smiled. "That's all right," he replied kindly. "I hope now we can work together well on your branch line." Thomas couldn't help but agree. And from that point on, the tank engine and the tram engine were now good friends.
Tommy sees the cheeky one. James is vain but lots of fun. Percy pulls the mail in town. Gordon understands the man. Emily really knows her stuff. Henry toots and Edward puffs. Rebecca and Nia are new there. And Toby, he is wise and square. Mad to their 4, their 6, their 8. Shunting trucks and hauling crates. Yellow, green, and orange, blue. They're a really useful crew, and all with different rules to play around in the shed or far away, and down the hills and round the bends. Thomas and his friends.
watching is learning. Orajel Training Toothpaste and Arm & Hammer Spin Brush Kids Toothbrushes. Proud supporters of Healthy Smiles and Thomas and Friends on PBS.
Thomas and Friends is made possible in part by and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.